Hey everyone, I was thinking about making a video in English for the young generation. If you're 20, 30 or youth, this video is for you. I've been planning to make it for quite some time now, but some events happened last week that woke me up and said, hey Tamir, this is the time to do it. So I would like to talk about what happened last week. Two different places in the world. First place is Israel, where there were the death of 5 young souls. All of them are youth between 14 to 17, something like that. And day after day, just in few days, in 1 week, they were all injected by the experimental material of Pfizer. I guess by now most of the people in the world already know that Israel is the laboratory, is the experimental country for Pfizer, and a percentage of the injected people in the country is pretty large. There was another event last week, which is the G20 in Indonesia, when they started to talk about the digital new passport which are going to present in the World Health Organization, I think in Geneva soon enough, and they will try to push it, all the governments upon us. It starts with the concept of only for to prepare to the next pandemic, which as I remember, they told us the pandemic is once in 100 years in such scale. Now it's just around the corner, because I think by now most of us already know it's not. There was never a pandemic. People didn't fall down on the streets in any country, beside on the early days in China, and that disappeared too. In a pandemic, a real pandemic, people die on the streets. Not all of them in the hospital. And they also do autopsies, which it never had been done here. Many things, red flags to wake people up to the knowledge that there is a big change in the world right now. But I, as a human rights lawyer, would like to emphasize in this video one major important things. And hear me out, the young generation, hear me out carefully. We are in World War III. We are in World War III for quite some time now, and now it's just the first phase is over. And how do we know that we are in a world war? How the world knows that it's a world war? This is normally can be understood when you look backwards, when some side has won. But this is a very unique war, because there is no one shotgun fire in this war. And the war, the enemies in this war is governments against their civilians. And the governments are also tooled by some powerful people or organization or whatever. However, we are in a war, and it's a very, very sophisticated war, because if you look at the sign of the snake of the medical establishment, the snake wrapped around a post. We are the post, the people. And the snake has two attributes. He can wrap around you slowly and get a strong grip on you, which is what the government has on the people in every country. And then it can put its poison inside your body. And you know, there is a book 1,000 years ago. It was written by some very smart guy. Calls the Commandments of the Hearts, in a free translation. I'm not going to get into details about the book, but he says something very interesting about that who wants to destroy you and to and to harm you is normally, if it's the devil, if it's the devil concept, it will be normally that he will be shown to you as one of your friends and somebody that you can get advice from, that he's taking care of you, that he's come with love, that your health is important to him. That would be the one, and that would be the way to maneuver and to manipulate people in order that they will be encouraged to inject themselves either by fear of a disease, and people will run to put into their bodies experimental injections, and or fear from what's going to happen if they don't do it, because they're going to be pushed from the society and be called conspiracy theorists or whatever. The fact that people want to keep their sovereignty over their body and their choice is in the new world order that they're preparing to us right now. It's not going to last, because that's not the way that you can control people on a massive scale if they have their own decision on their own discretion. Now, here is what I want to explain. And unfortunately, the majority of the grown-ups, they don't understand that. They just don't understand that. Now, here's the lie. There are two different aspects that we should understand logically. There is science and there are values. Values and science have no correlation. What they're trying to sell us in the G20, they say, oh, the next pandemic we can make sure that people will still move around because they will have the digital passport with all the vaccination chart. Now, although this is going to be complicated to explain, so let's do it this way. No disease is actually stopping you from moving around. No virus, if there is any, or there were any, no virus is making an aggressive attack on the borders and grounding the airports and the airplanes. That's not how the way it works. The governments are grounding the airplanes, and the governments are closing the borders. There are people that are doing that stuff. It's not that we can move around only if we have that vaccination chart, digital passport. No, you can move around if the governments were true and really working for us. They would say, you know, there is something scary out there. Anybody that wants to take precaution, they can stay home. But everybody that wants to live their life regularly, they can free to do so, because the government doesn't have any mandate to close the borders and to ground the airplanes. The only thing that they're doing right now is using their power illegally. Now, I would like to explain something important. World War II was about the Nazis against the Allies. And the Nazis, what they have done, it's exactly the school for all the regimes are doing right now to us. There was already in the Nazi regime, like 90 years ago, there was a green pass, a health pass, to show that you are one of the good, healthy people. And now it's being copied. However, after World War II, the Nazis lost and the Allies won. And there was the Nuremberg trials. And in those trials, they executed and they convicted mainly doctors and high rank position guys, but doctors and nurses, even though they gave them a very, it was like kind of peacemaking, I don't know, era, So they gave them quite easy punishments, but they established the legal system worldwide, established new codes that we should follow the humanity in order that it will never happen again. That's what it said, never again. And why they made it code? Because the Germans, the people that were on trials, their defense line was there was no code. We thought that we're sacrificing few Jews and few gypsies or gays, whatever, and it's for the greater good of the humanity. We're going to experiment on those people. These are the useless people, but the next generations are going to benefit from that, and that was acceptable by them. So there were no codes of conduct. It didn't stand on court because they, as human beings, had to understand that we are all equal and there's no useless human beings. However, the Nuremberg Code and then the Helsinki Convention later on, declaration and others as well after it, and every country adopted those codes dealing with medical procedures. It was beginning about experimenting, but then it went on to any medical procedure. Now I want to be very clear, guys. Medical procedure, something that you do to yourself, to your body, mental health, physical, whatever, has to be under informed consent, which means that you, the person that is deciding to have the procedure, is giving a full, I repeat that, a full consent after you get information, and a lot of information on the benefits and on the risks and on the alternatives. And after you get the full picture, then you can give a consent. Without the full picture, you cannot give a consent. But there is another thing which is not written, but it's inherent, and people, the grown-ups, they don't understand. In order to have an informed consent for any procedure, injections, mask wearing, even anything that you related to your health, it has to be under privacy terms, which means that if you decide to get an injection or to refuse to it has to be private. If you know that you cannot fly or go places without showing what you have done on a medical procedure or avoided to do, then you cannot make an informed consent. There is no consent. There's no real consent. So they're trying to tell us that with this new order, with this new lifestyle, which is going to be upon your shoulder, guys, the young generation, you're going to be the one to have to deal with what's going on at present. You have to stand up and talk to your parents. And if you're a parent, you have to talk to your kids or everybody around and explain the values of what is allowed, informed consent, the code of conduct, the consent, the privacy. All those things are values. Values are not, they don't have any correlation to science. It doesn't matter if people are dying, a lot of them around you, or just a few of them. If there's something major going on or there's something small going on, it doesn't matter. Our values, if we want to have privacy, and the technology can work for us. Technology doesn't have any side where it goes to. It's how we use it. Blockchain technology can be very, very helpful to maintain privacy with money, with many other things. But if we're going to use it in the wrong way or put it in the wrong hands, and now there are cameras everywhere and the governments are using them, I don't mind to have cameras all around, but it has to be regulated. And also, everything has to be deleted very quickly. Otherwise, we're going to be like China. The rest of the world is going to be like China, because China is already like China. And I'm telling you, if this information comes to you that you have already acquired some knowledge, that's nice, but I'm aiming that people without this knowledge, it might sound to them, what, it's crazy, It's not likely to happen. It's already happening. Guys, wake up. Science always, I repeat, always come after we set our values. And then science, any information that we have on the reality, which is, among other things, also science have to come after we establish the values, and only in that framework. So if privacy is a value that we as the free world want to keep, then everything that we can use with technology has to help that. And we should refrain from anything that is jeopardizing that. Definitely the fact that anybody could be a potential threat to another just because of a made-up idea that we are actually spreading disease around, which is, by the way, never proven scientifically. But it doesn't matter, even if it's proven scientifically. It's not, but even if it was proven scientifically, then everybody that want to take precautions and not to get get a disease from anybody else, if you believe so, that could happen from the air, then they should confine themselves and protect themselves. And if somebody wants to put a mask or 2 or 3 or 4 or 6 masks on himself, it's okay. But if that thing helps, then why would you ask anybody else to do it? So this whole way of thinking has changed because of a threat. Now, I'm releasing this video. I wonder how long it's going to last on YouTube. Probably not a lot. And I encourage you guys to download it. It's very easy. You can just Google download from YouTube or whatever, and just publish it on your own. So this information will going to be out there. There is no correlation between science and values. And chronologically, values always become first of anything else. In a society, in a free society, we first have to know our code of conducts, which already set for us that if we don't want to have another Holocaust, then never again we're going to give our privacy or our consent to be taken away and manipulated by some fake or even real threat. In emergency situations, the governments don't need to protect us more. They need to protect us less, and I will explain. On regular routine times, the government with soldiers and police, everything, they can work, keep the peace and do everything they need to do. If there is a threat that we don't know how to deal with, it's the end of the world virus or whatever bullshit they're trying to sell to us, then it's a different story. Then the government, they don't know what to do. They have to let go. They have to take one step backwards. Not what they've done, the opposite, trying to get into our lives and control us and set new norms and launch aggression between people. And if you're a soldier or a police officer, I'm telling you, in the future, hopefully I would have part with that if I'm going to be around. But if it's not me, it's going to be others. There are going to be some judges around, and you will be under a trial. And this time, it's not going to go easy. You're not going to get some very small punishment. If you are one of those, I don't want to name names now, don't want to keep it respectful, but used aggression against civilians that just came to protest peacefully or didn't agree to new rules which are not allowed, because also Nazi Germany, everything was done by the rule. Also the hatred and discrimination and racism, everything was by the law. They made new laws every day. It doesn't matter. Laws have to serve justice, and justice is something that definitely in our inherent rights, our natural rights, we don't get permission to breathe or to show our faces from the government, and the government doesn't have the right to take it from us. And so if they make those new rules that you have to apply to obey to something like that, this is illegal. Even if it's a law, it's unlawful. So I'm gonna end with that. It's a little bit touching just briefly on several topics, but I would like to emphasize that values come first, and then any science can serve our values. It's not the other way around. We don't let the governments do whatever they want and then tell us it's they didn't have any other choice. It's the disease. They need to protect us from ourselves. We're too stupid. No, this is not true. And the new world that is going to be after World War III, which is now in coming soon to phase 2. You, my brothers and sisters, you, the young generation, more than anybody else, you will decide what kind of a world you want to live in. And we have to have a revolution, and we have to have it fast. And I think that if this digital passport is going to go through, and it's not going to be a revolution just around that thing, we are in a very bad situation. And I am one of those people that believe that this world has a 50-50 chance. We can ruin it, as we're doing pretty well lately, not because what we're doing to the planet. The planet is much bigger and stronger to us. It's what we're doing to ourselves, to humanity, to the way that society works. We don't respect each other anymore. What the hell is going on? We don't let people to be who they are and live the way they want to live, as long as there is no real threat that we can really identify. Everybody should be considered as perfect. Somebody that doesn't feel good, 99.9 of the cases, he will stay home. Not only because he doesn't want to jeopardize anybody else, because he doesn't want to go outside and feel even worse. They're playing a game, and the game is control. And there are really bad guys up there trying to change something fundamental. And we, the human beings, we are free spirits, and we have a soul. We are not just a body. This whole transhumanism bullshit, we have to throw it away. We have soul, and we have free decision mechanism, and we have to use it. And don't be afraid of people, and think about the world that you are going to establish, that you're going to live in, and that you're going to live to your sons and daughters. So now I'm going to end this video, and I wish you all to wake up. I'm going to start maybe making more of this in English. The world has to wake up, and quick as possible. See you next time.